Okay guys, so at this point we're gonna start to add paint to our portraits. So you can see my gridded portraits here, and I have my photo here. I'm gonna take it out of that sleeve. Yours is probably already out of the sleeve. You can see these sections that are here. These sections are going to be monochromatic. So that means one color with different shades and tints of it. So you're gonna choose one color that'll work for yours and help sort of with the word that's gonna be under them to communicate that further. I'm gonna go with blues. So, and we'll talk about how we're gonna break these shapes up into those colors a little bit later. But for now, you're gonna get a piece of long white paper like this. And on this paper, you're gonna break it into, let's break it into 6 different sections. So I'm just gonna draw a rectangle here in the middle. I'm leaving a border around it because, you know, I can mix in that border or whatever. So split it up in the center, and then make 1, 2, 3, and then 2 more lines here to make 4, 5, 6. Okay, and I can number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is gonna be our darkest, and then we're gonna work our way to our lightest. So my palette has a lot of different colors on it, but they're mostly dry. My blues and whites and blacks are the ones that are wet here, so that's what I'm gonna focus on. I've got a brush and I'm dipping it into some water here. You also wanna have a paper towel to dab it on, which I don't have right here, but you'll have those at your table. I'm just gonna use the cardboard here for now. So for that 6, I'm gonna take my darker shade of blue, and I'm gonna find a space on my palette where I can kind of work that paint out a little. I'm gonna take a touch of black. Now I'm not taking too much black there, just a little bit, because if I take more than that, it's gonna eat up the color. So I'm gonna mix in that black there and get myself a pretty dark blue. And I've got a good amount of it here. So I'm gonna take a little bit of water onto my brush because that helps it get a little bit more smooth on the brush there. So I'm just kind of dipping it into the brush, and then I'm gonna paint this into the number 6 area. And I wanna just go right up to that line that I made, but it's okay if I go outside of it on the sides. And practice trying to get smooth brush strokes. So dipping your brush in the water and then trying to get nice and smooth with those brush strokes. You can also practice trying to get within these lines here, because that is something you're gonna wanna do when you work on your piece. So I'm gonna wash our brush off totally and switch ends of the spectrum. So now let's make our lightest. So this number 1 here, again, I'm gonna get the extra water off my brush. You'll probably use a paper towel for that. Now, when we made this darker shade, we used a lot of blue and a touch of black. When we make this lighter shade, we're actually gonna use a lot of white and a touch of blue. And blue is a color that I have a couple different shades of paint for. Not all of them are. So if I were using one I just had one color for, like purple, then I'd just take a touch of the purple and add it to the white. But I've got this lighter blue, so I'm gonna add a touch of this lighter blue here and kind of mix it in. And as I mix that in, it's barely touching it. If it were a darker color, it really would totally affect it. So I'm gonna take a little bit more of that blue, not too much. It's always better to add a little bit at a time, mix it all the way in, see how it's doing, and then see if you wanna add more. So this is like really, really, really light, which, how am I feeling about it? I think I'll add a touch more blue, just a slowly. And so we'll come back over to this piece here. So at this point, we're ready to start just with the darkest areas. So wherever there are those darkest areas on my picture, the shapes of those darkest areas, I'm gonna replicate those shapes here and try to darken them a little and number them. Number 6. Okay, so I'm gonna find all my darkest areas like this shape here, and I might have to redraw the shape a little. So like this shape here that's next to the neck. This is a really dark area. I'm gonna come down into here, kind of get this shape in, around and up. Also comes into here. And I'm simplifying it a little. So that's gonna be number 6. And you probably wanna make that a little lighter so it doesn't show up with your paint, just like a light number 6. And then where else is it happening? So now I have some 6s on here. You can see that these are 6s. So all the 6s are gonna be this color, this darkest shade. So I'm gonna take that blue again, and I'm gonna mix a good amount of it up with just a touch of the black. Get that really nice dark rich blue. I'm actually gonna get the extra paint off my brush this time so that I can control my brush. So I'm gonna clean my brush off and then I can come here with it kind of wet. That'll help me control it, especially as I start to come into some of these smaller areas.